Hello and welcome to another episode of Garden Tech. So today we'll be talking about the importance of biology in your garden and kind of the effects of how it has in your plants. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is basically having a good ecosystem. When you tend to water a lot with city water, I know a lot of people don't have that option, but if you have any large buckets at all, sit those out for about 2 days to let the chlorine come out, and that should be perfectly fine because chlorine tends to kill bacteria. Because think about it, in the city when they put chlorine in the water to disinfect the bad bacteria, it's going to do the same thing in your garden. It's going to kill off the bacteria. And one way you can increase bacteria is by brewing compost tea. Now, compost tea does a host of, just thousands of things, but one of the main things that it does is it incorporates good bacteria, aerobic bacteria, aero meaning oxygen, into the soil. Now, what you don't want is anaerobic bacteria. Ana meaning none, and aerobic no air bacteria. And basically, if you have no air bacteria, you're going to be spreading really bad diseases that are potentially harmful to your body as well. But aerobic bacteria that's found in compost teas and different forms of funguses and good stuff that you put in your soil, they add flora. And what flora is a vocab word, so hopefully you know what that is. But flora is basically everything to your garden. If you don't have flora, if you don't have that biological life, you don't have a successful garden, because the biology is what works for you. If you grow in sand and water with synthetic fertilizers, you have zero nutrient holding capacity. You have zero biological life. You have essentially nothing. It's just synthetic fertilizer and sand, and you have therefore flavorless, equivalent to supermarket tomatoes or vegetables for that matter, and they're very unflavorful and very disgusting. But what adds the flavor is that natural ripening process, all of the extra minerals that are being brought by the bacteria from, if you saw last week's episode, the good bacteria bring nutrients to the plant. And so having that good flora, having that good biological life will inoculate the soil with tons of beneficial nutrients and other forms of bacteria, and that also helps fight off diseases as well. So your plants are healthy, and that's one of the benefits, is that you have healthier plants. Another benefit that you'll be able to see, now if you go out in your garden, you have a lettuce crop. If you have a high nitrogen content soil, let's say you're using manure and pure compost, and then you spray with compost tea, that is fantastic. If you can do that, more power to you. That is the best soil makeup ever. It has amazing nutrient holding capabilities, but most of all what it has is bacteria. And when you have good soil bacteria, you get stuff called biofilm. And what I'm going to tell you guys today is how to identify the biofilm. So a biofilm is a waxy coating left on almost every plant. You can tend to get them less on tomatoes and squash leaves because they have fibers on their leaves. But you can still see that ever slight shimmer. But what you can really notice it the most on is lettuce crops. Lettuces, spinach, Swiss chard, broccoli, cauliflower. It's that really thick, waxy coating, and it's called a biofilm. And a biofilm is produced from essential bacteria sprayed onto the leaves as a foliar spray, such as compost tea, and they excrete something called cellulose. And cellulose is not like cellulite, like fat that cellulite builds up in your body, but it's cellulose. And cellulose is one of the most common organic compounds on the entire planet. And it's literally in everything. Everything has cellulose because cellulose is the building blocks for life, basically. Aside from carbon, carbon is the building block, but cellulose is what everything is made up of. So the more cellulose you have, the healthier plant you have, and also the more cellulose you have, the higher plant protection you have. Because when a plant is covered with cellulose, imagine it being like a shield, and it's a knight and it's going into battle. If you are just running out onto the field with no shield, number one, you probably shouldn't be fighting, because you're going to be killed immediately. Just admit it. I mean, you're going to be killed immediately. But if you have a shield, you might get hit, but not nearly as bad as if you had no shield at all. And half the time, 3/4 of the time, you're going to block what is coming at you with that shield. And that's what cellulose does for a plant. And that's what essential bacteria does for the plant, is it just helps out tremendously. And so I'm just going to keep doing these little segments, short, sweet, to the point, gets it informational, and I'm going to be doing a lot more of them as well. I just want to do small building blocks so it's not too overwhelming of information. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. Hopefully you guys will stay tuned. I plan on doing them a little more often, but I've been pretty crazy busy. So thank you for tuning in. And as always, this is your Techie Gardener. And remember to get techie with it.